this time, I'd like a motion to go into executive session. Thank you, Tina. Second. Monty, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're now in executive session.
Come out.
So, I'm sorry. We're coming out of executive session, and at this time, I'd like to call the
No
Audit and
decisions.
Finance Committee meeting.
Coming out of executive session.
No action
decisions
was
were
taken.
taken.
No action was taken.
And now, at this time, I'd
Now
like
we
to...
adjourn and we gotta get everybody in here.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna adjourn.
Yep.
I'll get the hang of this.
You take us offline.
Like coming in to be president.
Yeah, what do I have to do to,
I'd like to call the Audit and Finance Committee meeting to order and turn it over to Linda Beata.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to introduce you to Greg Evans and Tanya Budge of Bonadeo. Greg's going to do the presentation of our draft audited financial statements.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Thanks, everyone, for having us again this year. We appreciate the opportunity to work with the authority again. Take you through a brief presentation of the audit results and a quick look at some of the financial highlights. So, we go one more to the required communications. So we'll start with the audit of the financial statements. Oh, we lost it again. Okay. We'll start with the audit of the financial statements. Pending your approval today, we will issue an unmodified opinion on those financial statements, the highest level of assurance we can give you, exactly where you want to be. Relative to a new accounting policy adopted this year, it was GASB 87 relative to leases. We've talked about this a lot in the past couple of years. We were able to help you with that implementation. Basically, what you'll see in the footnotes is a grossed up amount of $2.8 million in lease receivable, and also a corresponding entry to deferred inflows. So really not much effect on those financial statements. But you will see an additional footnote 11, which has disclosures related to your leases. Okay. So one of the things I always have to point out to you is the sensitive accounting estimates in your financial statements. We talk about that in terms of your other post-employment benefit liability, retiree health, which was about $240 million. And we'll talk about what the effect of that was on your financial statements in just a minute. Some other estimates that you'll see in there are related to workers' comp, defined benefit pension plans. Most of these numbers come from actuaries, which of course take a bunch of different factors to come up with those different liabilities. So it's always important to keep in mind those are estimates, usually long-term. Okay. And basically our job is to look at those estimates and look at the factors and assumptions and make sure that they're reasonable in relation to your financial statements. We've done that and haven't had any issues relative to that. Important to note that there were no significant difficulties dealing with management this year. Linda, Melissa, and the whole team here was great to work with. Basically, you know, Tanya and 3 staff worked on this for 4 to 5 weeks straight. This is a really tight turnaround for an organization of this size. So for us to be here at this point in time, you know, with your financial statements, with audited results is, you know, a credit to your management team for sure. And more kudos for the staff, no material adjustments this year. Meaning the numbers that you've seen throughout the year, the numbers that appear in these financial statements. Had we come in and proposed a bunch of adjustments to those financial statements, we would have to report some findings. And again, it calls into question the numbers that you're looking at during the year. Not the case, so again, great job to the team here. All right, so let's talk about the financial statements at a real high level, because I know that you all review this on a monthly basis in a pretty detailed, at a detailed level. One of the things I want to talk about is cash. So in the past, cash is, going back a few years, cash was an issue for a while. Things are looking good at this point, though.
That's putting it mildly.
I don't want to get off. So, one of the things you'll notice, though, is, cash is down, and designated cash is down, but you now have designated investments, which you haven't had in the past. So again, now you're making a little bit of money, a little bit of investment income there. And you were able to add to your reserve. So really a far different position than we were a few years ago when cash was certainly an issue. And now you're able to actually do some planning. Great place to be. Also of note, receivables was up significantly. Again, related to grants in particular, what you would expect, you did receive more grant income this year than in the past, so you would expect that receivable to go up. As auditors, those are the relationships we're looking for. Do receivables go up when revenues go up? That's a lot of what we do here, so those expectations were met. In terms of liabilities, I sort of want to focus on that OPEB liability for a second here. And going back to the comment that that's a big giant estimate. So that liability actually went down by 112 million, which, in most of our minds doesn't really make sense in terms of the market, increasing costs, and the things that go into there. But with OPEB, you have to keep in mind that valuation is only done every 2 years. So this is kind of on a lag, unfortunately. You see the pension liability, which is a little more current. Your pension liability went up, your OPEB liability went down. I would expect that next time you have a valuation, this is going to reverse again. And that's sort of the whole nature of estimates related to OPEB. So what's the effect on that? When we flip over to, well, we'll get there in a second, but basically that reduced your expenses by about $24 million. So, because that flows through your income statement. So that sort of distorts what really happens on the expense side, but at the same time, you just have to keep in mind that these things over time kind of level off. In terms of current assets versus current liabilities, basically what do we have now, what do we owe? Current assets of 52 million versus current liabilities of only about 7 million. So again, at a snapshot at March 31st, that's a great position to be in, even stronger than it was last year. In terms of revenues, all the revenues were up this year. I know ridership has been up, so we do see that increase in operating revenues. The big one here is the capital contributions, most of which came from New York State. Hopefully New York State will continue to support you in that manner. But certainly for this past year, the assistance was there. In terms of operating expenses, so again, this is where total operating expenses actually decreased by 17 million, which, again, if we're thinking about the world today and increasing costs, does that really make sense? Well, it does, again, with factoring in that 24 million from OPEB adjustment. So if you pull that out, then you have an increase in expenses of about 7 million, so, which does tend to make a little more sense. All that said, that increased your net position, your bottom line, by about 17 million, which was a huge swing from last year, where you had a decrease of about 22 million, and again, a lot of that is related to that OPEB adjustment. Any questions on the number before we head into some compliance reports? Okay. So, a couple of other reports that we have to issue. Again, your Yellow Book report is us looking at your internal controls and compliance related to those financial statements. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses there. No instances of non-compliance related to laws and regulations. Clean scorecard there. And in terms of uniform guidance, no significant deficiencies there relative to your federal awards, and no compliance issues with federal regulations. The major program that we tested this year was your federal transit cluster. Again, if you're over 750,000, we have to audit those federal awards. You were determined to be a low-risk auditee, which I'm required to tell you, but it doesn't mean that much to you. It means a lot more to me. If you weren't a low-risk auditee, I'd have to audit 40% of your awards. I only have to audit 20. As it turns out, I audited a lot more than that, just because this is such a large program. So, New York State DOT also requires an audit of their funds. Again, no compliance issues there, no internal control issues there. All very good. And we are required to look at your investments in terms of guidelines as issued by the Public Authorities Act. In the past, you haven't had investments, so this was a pretty easy thing for us to do. This year, we actually had to take a look and make sure that you were in compliance with those investment policies. And it's a very narrow scope of what you can invest in, and again, there's no issues there. Lastly, I will point out that there is yet another GASB statement that could cause us a little bit of a headache this year. This is relative to subscription-based information technology, so think cloud-based software, and it's specific to agreements that are 12 months or longer. So if you have a whole bunch of software agreements that are year to year, we don't have to worry about those, but anything longer than that, again, we'd have to record a right to use asset on your balance sheet, basically a gross up with additional financial disclosures, which makes this document in front of you even bigger. So we will take a look at that for next year, and hopefully it won't be a big deal, but it certainly something we need to consider. Any questions on all of that?
When you talk about cash and investments, essentially the investments that we're doing are cash equivalent. They're highly liquid and short-term.
Right.
And high quality.
Right, exactly. Federally backed in most cases, so very low risk.
No questions?
Can I make another comment here?
Sure.
Okay, essentially you're giving us an A+ grade on our accounting procedures.
Yes.
Okay, I've been involved with municipal finance for 43 years. I'm a municipal principal, and when you look at municipalities or agencies like this,
Yeah.
you seldom see a report card like this. You always see, under material events, there was a mistake or it has to be restated. So, Linda, you and your team have done a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a great team, Melissa Brim and Lynn Suits in accounting, and we have Caitlin McCullum and Chris King in procurement. All of you guys have done an excellent job, as usual, and thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'd like to add my thanks too. I mean, Linda's staff is just top-notch. And to get a report like this really reflects on the entire company. So every department, everybody, following proper procedures and policies when it comes to, purchasing and accounting and everything. So thank you very much for all that you do. It's a great job, great report, and thank you. You've got a great team, Greg, and we enjoy working with you guys every year.
Absolutely. We look forward to coming back.
Thank you, Tanya and Greg.
Thank you.
No computer.
So we just have to have a motion.
On completion of the presentation and after all questions have been answered, I need a motion to forward to the full board the draft financial statements and supplemental reports as of March 31st, 2023. Do you have a motion? Luella, second. Tina, all in favor? Motion passed.
Secondly, now that we have approval, or we'll have approval of the audited financial statements, I take that information and that has to get entered into our PARA system, which is our Public Authority Reporting Information System. So I will take that information and complete a summary financial information section of PAL 2800 in the PARA system. And I just need a motion to move that summary report to full board.
Can I have a motion to forward to the full board the summary financial information section of PAL 2800 annual report?
So moved.
Julia, second. Tina? Any opposition? Motion passed.
We also have to present guidelines regarding the disposition of property to the board. We've made no changes to that policy. It was included in your packet, and we just need to bring that. Also required to provide you with the annual investment report and investment guidelines. They're also included in your board packet. There's been no changes to the investment guidelines. I just need a motion.
I need a motion to forward to the full board the annual PAL 2925 investment report, investment guidelines. Joe, second. Monty, I'm sorry. Monty, second. Joe? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passed.
Caitlin, do you want to present your two motions?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So, under Public Authorities Law, we are also required to submit an annual procurement report where we compile all procurement contracts that are $5,000 and greater. That was the large spreadsheet that was included in your packet this time around, so we need board approval to submit that to the state.
I need a motion to forward to the full board the annual PAL 2879-2824E procurement report. Julius, second. Neil, all in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
We also need a motion for our annual procurement policy manual. We did not make any changes to policies this year. No, very little administrative edits, but we do have one change to the authority authorization threshold that's within the policy manual. We're requesting the assistant inventory manager threshold to be bumped from 2,500 to 5,000, and that will match our inventory manager since their tasks go hand in hand.
I need a motion to forward to the full board the Regional Transportation Procurement Manual updates.
So moved.
Julia, second. Neil, all in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Okay, so we're moving into resolutions. First one I have is the 2023-24 annual subsidy payments. This is just a document that we present to you. It's based on budgeted deficits within the subsidiaries, and it's just accounting entries. And this just need a motion to move it to the full board for approval.
I need a motion to forward to the full board the 2023-24 annual subsidy payments. Motion. Luella, second. Neil, any, all in favor?
No.
Any opposition? Motion passed.
Next resolution, I'm asking for board approval to open another bank account at JP Morgan Chase. We need an account to capture credit card transactions for our new GFI system.
Are they charging a fee?
I'm not sure, we have to negotiate everything out for that.
Okay, you got-
There's might be some fees associated, as there was for our current
Okay, but you shopped
contracts.
it, correct, with other banks?
Well, we're working with the banks that we have relationships right now,
Okay.
Which are Chase, M&T.
Chase and M&T, and Chase has been very favorable. Can't avoid all fees with that, though.
Oh, I know, but
Yeah.
I need a
This
motion.
pertains to the new Fairbox system, collecting payments.
I need a motion to forward to the full board the opening of a new bank account at Morgan Chase. Neil, Julius, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Thank you. So I have a resolution first here for the Microsoft software licensing. This will be paid for with operating funds. This is our typical Microsoft software that all employees have access to, Teams, Outlook, Word, etc. So this will be 3 years worth of coverage. We received pricing from Dell through the New York State contract. For all 3 years, it's a total of $305,458.26. So we're looking for award to Dell.
I need a motion to forward to the full board, oh, this one. The Microsoft software licensing.
So move.
Julius, second. Tina, I'm sorry, Luella. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. Okay, now we're going.
Yeah, the next resolution is for the purchase of the Trapeze Risk software. This will be paid for with operating funds. So we currently utilize Trapeze software for a number of our current operations, fixed route, paratransit software. This will be specific to our safety program. It'll utilize real-time data to track incidents, helping make our safety program more efficient. So we are looking to, we received pricing from Trapeze, $140,402.23. That's going to cover implementation as well as 5 years worth of maintenance. This is a proprietary software to Trapeze, so it is a sole source purchase. So we're looking for award to Trapeze.
At this time, I need a motion to forward to the full board the Trapeze RISC software. Motion. Luella, second.
Tina.
Oh, Neil. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
The next resolution is for the CNG overhaul of engine number 2. Our CNG facility has 3 compressors. Engine number 2 is currently down. The original equipment manufacturer is Milton Cat. They determined that we need a full-on engine overhaul to bring this engine back up and running. So we're looking for a total of $105,774.63 to award to the OEM Milton Cat.
Did we do this once before?
We have done overhauls in the past. I think the most recent one was 2017.
So I'll need a motion to forward to the full board the CNG engine number 2 overhaul. Motion. Julius, second. Monty. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
My last resolution is for the sedan and lift equipped vehicle services. This will be paid for with operating funds. This was an invitation to bid that was publicly let on May 4th. We sent out 22 bid packages, 5 of which were sent to minority and women-owned business enterprises, and an additional 8 bids were requested. On May 25th, we received 2 bids, with the lowest responsible bidder being Suburban Transportation. There is a full waiver for MWBE participation currently pending with Empire State Development. So we're requesting award to Suburban Transportation for a 5-year term.
At this time, I'll need a motion to forward to the full board the sedan and lift equipment vehicle services and forward it to the full board. Motion. Tina, second. Luella. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Do you want to
Good job.
discuss any of the other stuff?
There's nothing else to discuss. There's some supplemental information in there, procurement summary, your risk management policy summary, and grant summary, but unless there's any other questions about what we've presented, that's it for the motions and resolutions and finance information.
Susanna?
I'm just gonna stop right here.
Everyone's favorite subject, internal controls.
Yes. Very exciting stuff. I know this has been a longer A&F, so I'll keep it short and sweet. I only have one report to discuss today. We give this in the Audit and Finance Committee instead of having a whole governance for one report. Much like a lot of the other reports, we have to submit this report under Public Authority Law, Section 2801A. This is requirement number 9, Management's Report on Internal Control. This report is separate and distinct from the Management's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting that the auditors talked about today. So that report discusses internal control over financial reporting. This report talks about our internal control structure as an organization as a whole. So this process covers all departments in addition to accounting. We do include that in our review as well, but we also cover all other areas of the organization. The report was included in the board packet, provides a summary assessment of the internal control structure, including all of the different components, principles. We don't go into the 81 focus points in the summary report because that would be a very long and necessary report, but it does go over the assessment of where we're at with the control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information communication, and monitoring processes that we have in place across the organization. Per the authority's budget office recommended practice, we have to certify in this report annually that we followed a process that assessed the effectiveness of our internal control structure and certify to its adequacy and effectiveness. So happy to note that we are continuing to certify. So we certified every year in recent history. We did follow our review process this year. We did not identify any exceptions that rose to a material level. So no material deficiencies. We do have a lot of new managers and supervisory staff on our internal control team. So there's a lot of new participation in that control team. So a lot of new participation in several great action plans and policy review projects that we have ongoing right now. But again, no material deficiencies. So that is what we like to see, what we like to hear. There is no requirement for you to adopt or approve this report. It is for information items only. But because under Section 2931, the board has final oversight over the program of internal control, we'll continue to bring this report to you every year for information purposes. And that's my spiel. So if anyone has any questions or would like any more information or detail about this report, feel free.
Any questions for Susanna? Okay. I'd like to thank her and Chris. They lead the internal controls for this company, and they just do a phenomenal job. I mean, if you would look back, 3 or 4 years, it was really just a check the box. Do you have it? Yep. Are you doing it? Yep. They've really dug in deep, and we actually have internal controls now, and it's running well, and they work very well with all the departments and getting all this data compiled and reported the way they need to. So great job, guys.
Okay, any questions? This is an information item and no action is required.
Correct.
If there's nothing further, and if there's no questions, I'd like to close the Audit and Finance Committee meeting at this time.
Great, thank you. We'll take a
time, I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to note that we have a quorum present. Next meeting date is July 28, 2023. At 9 o'clock, we'll have a pension commit of the May 19, 2023 meeting at this time. Luella. Joe Hardig. All in favor? Opposition? Motion passed. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Brian for a retirement presentation.
Thank you, Bob. So we have one of our longtime employees here with us. 38 years serving Central and the Syracuse community. Kim has performed, a number of roles. Started as a part-time operator back in '85. Then went full-time in '97. In 2000, became an outside supervisor for the company. Went on a couple years later to be promoted to our 19A training supervisor. Has done countless hours of training. I don't even know if we could ever count the number of bus operators that she trained, and I will add myself to that. So she was the one that taught me how to drive a bus when we did. We had a board member rodeo. Well, we used to do the annual rodeo, and we had a board member competition in that one year. So Kim took me out to Shoppingtown Mall and taught me how to drive a bus through the mall, and I won the rodeo, so she must be a good trainer. So she did a great job. On April 1 of this year, she officially retired from a full-time capacity, but we are very fortunate that she's sticking around as a part-time. She's going to be helping us out in the training department. She worked with this most recent class that just came through. So please join me in thanking and honoring Kim for 38 years of service to Centro and to the Syracuse community. Thank you very much.
Was Brian a difficult student, or?
No comment.
Thank God it's pass fail.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to Brian for his report.
Thank you, sir. So I submitted my written report. Some of these are items we've talked about briefly in the past. We had a tabletop exercise with the TSA that went very well. I think the staff that participated learned a lot. And when you think about it, that team that came around, they do this nationally. So to be selected to have that was actually a great deal for us when you consider the number of not just bus companies, bus, rail, airline, airports that they oversee, and they go around and do 12 or 18 of these a year, and to be one of them was fantastic. We had a meeting with I-81. We continue to be an active participant in discussions with DOT on the I-81 project. Genfair, we had a kickoff meeting with them. Chris is going to talk a little bit more about that under his report. We had a meeting with ATU 582 in Rome to discuss on-demand services. As we've reported in the past, that'll be the first of our properties where we roll out the on-demand. We're hoping to do that first quarter of '24. But we did want to meet with the union officials to let them know what was coming. We continue ongoing discussions with Syracuse Airport to see if there's something we can do. We have another meeting coming up that Steve Cagle is going to be attending next week at the in July at the airport. I attended Rochester CEO Bill Carpenter's retirement. He retired June 1. Miguel Vasquez took over for him as CEO, and then we continue to participate in NIFTA conversations. I have bi-weekly meetings with our consultants at Capitol Hill and our legislative consultants there as well. Just a reminder, a couple of things that weren't in the report. Public hearings are coming up next week. These are public hearings to discuss. So in the past, we've done public hearings to notify the public of either service changes or fare changes. These are ones to discuss service changes that have already happened. So we're really not expecting a huge turnout. We're going to have a couple. It's going to be virtual. There's one day. And then we're going to have 2 in-person ones down at the Salt City Market. If anybody would like to attend, let me know. I'd also like to, so we had a online forum to present some of the findings of our Exploring Tomorrow's Transit. I would like to thank Bren Dice. She did a phenomenal job representing Centro. It was her and Megan from SMTC. They talked about the results. There was panelists. There was questions submitted in advance. And she really did a great job answering all the questions and notifying everybody that was there at the meeting. Circulated around today was your annual report. I'd like to thank, Steve's not here, but his staff, Lynette, Casey, Rachel. I mean, they do a great job gathering all of the data that goes into this. The accounting staff, because there's, we do throw some numbers in there. So everybody that participated in this, thank you very much. It's a great document. I'd also like to congratulate Tina. Tina was recently appointed. New legislation was passed to include a member from the disabled community or transit dependent, and Governor Hochul selected Tina Fitzgerald. So although she was already on the board, she is now the governor's appointee rather than the county's appointee. So congratulations.
And I'd like to say Centro was ahead of the game.
Yes, we are.
We are leaders in having people at the table who matter.
Yeah, so it was one of
And
the
it's
things
my honor.
they surveyed the authorities to ask us if we had members from the disabled community or transit dependent riders on our board, and we were the only one that did. So that's good news for us, and congratulations to Tina to be the governor's appointee. So great job. I think that's all I've got now. We're going to our senior staff reports. Christopher.
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, everybody. A few things I want to touch on. The first one, back on June 8th, Mike Rice, our Director of Fleet Maintenance, and I took a road trip out towards Albany, or actually Slingerlands. I'm sure in the past we've talked about Plug Power. They're a large hydrogen manufacturer, equipment manufacturer, and soon to be producer in New York State. So they just opened up their world headquarters in Slingerland, so we took a ride out there to see their facility and their operations and what they're doing as far as the hydrogen market. Great factory, still kind of getting things positioned around, but they got a lot of things in the works that hopefully will benefit transit in the long run. As we continue our exploration of hydrogen, they will be definitely a partner, I'm sure, along the way as we get there. And their opportunities as far as fueling stations and vehicle propulsion systems are definitely something we'd like to see come along, especially being produced right here in New York State. The second thing, as Brian talked about, GFI or GenFair, So down here in the corner, back in April, you guys approved the upgrade to our previous farebox system. So down in the corner, powered on, is our new farebox system. In lieu of time, I will do a demonstration after if people want to see it. It does allow us to do actual pass cards, and then it also incorporates the mobile app, mobile ticketing, so scanning of a QR code, very similar to now when you go to airports and you set your phone on the QR code reader, the farebox had that built into it. The previous, probably 2 years ago, we showed you the module that was attached to the side of the farebox. So this is all now encompassing there. So their timeline, actually, installation, they were here this week doing some test fits. Full-on installation will start the week of July 3rd. And they'll do installations over those 3 weeks here, and then our outside properties, Oswego, Auburn, Utica, and Rome. To then, if all goes well, go live August 1st. So we're hoping to have these up and running and play. At that point, I think we're going to launch the QR code mobile app around that same time, so there'll be some testing in between there. They're already starting the testing on the marketing and revenue collection side. And then slowly, maybe a soft rollout of opportunity at the fair. We'll see how some testing goes if we want to do that. But also, speaking of the fair, we're in the process of gearing up for that. Joe and I met with the state fair staff yesterday to get that ball rolling. A little later than we had hoped, but looks to be things will be pretty similar to last year. So we're hopeful for a successful fair and keep you guys updated as we navigate the next 63 days until the start of the Great New York State Fair. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Chris?
So this machine is gonna be where you can upgrade them to, use a credit card and stuff like that?
So yes, the farebox does have the opportunity to go to open payment, where you can use a credit card either through the magnetic strip or some of the newer cards that you can just tap and go. Currently, that is not going to be set up at the initial rollout on August 1st. There's still some things we have to work out with that, but it is something that we have an option, and it also allows us for a smart card type operation. So some of the door reader key fob things, some of the offices and businesses have. We can purchase a secondary card that customers could use. Maybe something we explore with some of our contracted services at SU, OCC, the school district, but they can then use that card. Either it'll tap and allow them to ride, or you could actually add funds to that card to ride. But so there's a lot of options on the tap and go side.
Now, as far as the senior citizens are concerned, that's when they have to still have that senior citizen card in order for them to get a discount?
Yes.
Because I know a lot of people, I ride the bus now since I retired, and a lot of people come on the bus, I see the senior citizens, they still paying $1, and I try to encourage them to come and get their card.
Yeah. Yeah, they could do that right at the hub, but yeah, they would still pay, or the half fare, they would just have to announce it beforehand, the driver will hit the button, and then they can pay the 50 cents.
Can you refresh our memories on how this came about? Right, we had the contract with Gen Fair for the old stuff, didn't work out, then we're doing kind of like a swap, right?
Correct. So what we proposed to the board back in April essentially was taking the 225 fare boxes we have currently installed on our buses and in inventory, and the 240 validators, the sidecar validators that are currently installed on the buses, exchanging all of that equipment back, getting credit for that, any inventory that our revenue collection staff has. We have a fare box department in the maintenance, so anything tied to the old fare box they're taking back to offset the payment or the cost of these fare boxes. And then we have a $3.6 million
Hey, Chris,
expense to that.
I want to ask you, why would it take so long to get all this implemented into the machine at first, or do you just?
So the last wave of fare boxes installed were in 2015, so there was some useful life there. So what we were trying to do is add a module for the components that were not installed in that fare box.
Okay.
But over the last 2 years of 2.5 years, almost 3, honestly, the countless meetings back and forth from Lynette with marketing and the app portion to Jeannie and the testing of the fare sets.
Probably
Steve,
100 different versions of software.
Yeah, to try to get that validator to work on the previous fare box.
Okay.
In the process of doing that, we received a letter from GFI that the current fare, or the old fare box that we're getting rid of, is only gonna be supported until 2025 or until supplies and materials are available. So we had Brian and I had a good conversation with their leadership at GFI to try to navigate a solution of investing all the money in these validators and the time and effort from multiple departments, IT, Carlos, spent a lot of time on the phone with their programming team, and now you're telling us in less than 2 years this fare box may not be supported. So we came up to the solution that we did and incorporated their latest and greatest that they'll be supporting for a number of years. There's about 10,000 of these units in circulation across the country, so we know it works. We're the validator, we are kind of the guinea pig. They didn't tell us that up front. What they told us is this is just a new component, but the components inside of it are something we've been using all along. Well, come to find out, nobody else was using that specific component, and we couldn't get it to work properly, so.
Chris
Here
and
we
I,
are today.
Chris and I met with their senior leadership, and quite honestly, they stepped up. So they gave us, full credit for the validators that we had purchased. They also gave us credit for staff time, that we had involved in installation and testing and all that. So this would have been north of a probably $5 million project had we just gone out and purchased it. But because of all the credits we received, we're in the $3.5 million range.
That's what reminded me of when analog phone went out of business.
Yeah.
And they had to take my analog phone away from me and give me a digital. So.
I appreciate the explainer. I think this is certainly gonna be an improvement, and it's been a long time coming, but
Yeah.
I know there's been some serious headaches there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, with the deal we're working out with the city now too, you guys might be the first ones to actually, hopefully we're gonna try to get like the city ID cards, so they can use those to ride the bus, so that'd be.
That's my question. So,
Yep.
when you say smart card, or if I'm a student, I can use my card.
We'd like to get there.
Get that, yeah,
Yep.
that's a goal.
Yeah, or we also have the option, so we haven't publicly pushed it out yet. We've done some upgrades to our current app, the Go Central Bus app, if you have it. Julius, maybe you do on your new smartphone, now that you're off your analog phone. But once we go live.
I still got my old analog phone.
Once we go live with the purchasing of passes on the app, and I have this is what the third phone I'm carrying here is a demo phone. You can actually purchase the pass. We have an option too on the back end that we could set it up for students, college students, things like that, that we could set a specialized pass for them that they could log into and use as a student. So there's some options we can look at. We haven't finalized one or the other, but there it is an option as well.
So, if a person who has a SNAP card, or SNAP benefits, whatever the name of that card is, could that be the same? Could they use that for the bus also?
I don't know.
I don't know on that one. The first step is gonna be working with our contracted contract organizations like SU, SUNY, school district. One of the things we learned too at the kickoff meeting was like with the school district, when the kids do come on with their passes, we might be able to go on and like time bound them so that from 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. they can ride with that pass, but
Right.
after that they can't.
Can't use it.
Yeah, so there's gonna be some good technology coming
That makes sense.
after rollout.
Right. That other piece would then just be with the county as far as,
Yeah, it's like Monty be like Jobs Plus, that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things we'd look into.
yeah.
It seems like from the conversations we've been having with the vendor and supplier, not an expert, if it's got a strip or if it has the ability to have the chip in it, there's usually
Should be
some
able-
way to
somehow
go.
you
It's
can
kind
use
of
it, yeah.
agnostic, and it'll take any kind of data you can throw at it within reason.
Yeah.
I'm sure
That's one of the good things about the new box is that it's expandable. I mean, so there is additional technology we can put into it.
It's the county entity that's.
Yeah.
One other question, is this machine more sensitive to the dollar? Cause like if you get a dollar folded up, sometimes it won't take the dollar and something.
I don't know that, Lynette. Do you know if we've done any of that yet? I mean, they literally just unboxed this on Tuesday morning. So I'm not sure. Jeannie's not here to tell us.
Maybe try the ranking and see how it takes that.
Yeah.
Put some monopoly money through it. If it kicks that back, we're in good shape.
Yeah, it actually, these readers now read dollars and read 5s, 10s. The older versions would only read dimension. These actually read as a dollar, a 5, a 10, a 20. So, as far as sensitivity to somebody bringing one that's so
Folded,
crumpled, I have no idea. I guess we're gonna find out together.
Yeah, we will see.
Any other questions for Chris? Jackie is not here today. I'll just give a brief, so we just had a class of operators turn in. We had 14 new ones, 12 here in Syracuse, one in Oswego, one in Cayuga. And then we also added another class that's starting on Monday. We're going to have 11 operators in that class. 9 will be here for Syracuse and 2 for Oneida County. So it's something we haven't done a lot of the summer classes in the past, but because of the operator shortage and our department's really working diligently to get as many operators in here as we can, we decided to add a summer class, and then we'll do another one coming up here in the fall. Jeff?
Hey, Brian, good morning, everybody. Wanted to inform the board of a couple test projects we're doing. First off, Transit Solutions came to us and showed us a demonstration of their camera systems. The unique thing about Transit Solutions is they actually work just with transit, that's it. That's all they do, buses, which is nice. Joe and I sat down with them and saw the demonstration. It looked good. Their cameras look great. Their DVRs were essentially the same as ours. The nice thing they can also do is take their current cameras and apply them into ours. So we're going to test two buses with them. One's going to be with their system and their DVR, and then we're going to have their DVR with our cameras, current camera system, and see how it works. And then we're going to give it to the people who look at it and review cameras. Nice thing is that it's an easier software to look up data. Apparently it's a lot faster and easier to just search, because right now sometimes it can be a pain. So we'll keep you guys posted on that one. And then SafeLead, they have an infotainment monitor. Chris Tuff and I were at the Atlanta APTA. Yep. And we got on one of the buses and there was this monitor up there. And it had a picture of their camera system, of live feed, which was interesting. Plus, they also had information from the agency in addition to ads. So we have them coming out, putting a couple of those in our buses. And we're going to put it, first off, just for the camera systems, have it showing the feed on the inside so passengers can see. It did deter people from doing silly things and keeping honest people honest.
See you being an idiot.
That's exactly it.
Maybe
Hopefully,
might help.
hopefully it'll keep people, calm there. So we'll keep you guys posted. And then also in the future, you could put in things. I know Lynette was asking for information. We can post information up there. In addition to maybe geofencing, where if you're coming up to a place and it'll come up and say, hey, by the way, at this next stop, there's McDonald's, and here's your specials. So we'll keep you posted.
I noticed that on Midland bus line, the bus still pronounced Oxford Street, it's no longer Oxford Street. Are you planning on getting that, because the street was there at the time before Creek Park, and you planning on getting that changed now?
They get changed.
That would be, we could talk with Steve and his team. We'd have to program that through Clever.
Clever, yeah.
So we'll get with Steve and Ed and update that for the next update. I don't know if it probably won't happen for the summer,
Okay.
because that's
What
time.
was the street?
Oxford Street, right over here.
Okay, got it.
Oxford.
Thank you.
But if not, it'll definitely be in for September.
September, yeah.
Because the new sign-up will start next week.
So, you could put, when you said McDonald's. on the-
Well,
I'm thinking advertising.
It's advertising, that's right, yeah.
That's money
Yeah.
coming in, all right? That's what
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
we're
Yeah.
gonna try to use it for ad revenue as well.
So we
Yeah,
could-
okay.
We could link it to our Lamar account that does all the bus wraps on the side of our bus and see if she can sell space on the inside. And then because of the GPS on the bus, we might be able to geofence it that when it approaches, say, the mall or it approaches a certain area, they could pretty much have proprietary on the advertising at that time. So, some
Seems
things
like-
we could play around with, but.
Seems like a great idea. I hope we do find a way to prioritize some of the ridership experience, whether that's route information, upcoming stops.
Yeah.
I think there's a balance to be had, but bringing in revenues is nice.
Yeah.
It's American.
That'd be nice, but I think one of the
Always need
biggest
money.
benefits is gonna be, we have signs on all the buses right now that say that, video monitoring is in effect. But when people actually see that, that, all right, maybe I'm not gonna do something stupid.
You see it in a lot of retail, I think, right?
Yeah,
When
you
in the
do.
doors, you
Yeah.
see,
You
you're on
walk in, you're right
7
there.
different cameras right now.
We already have it at
Self-checkout.
our hub, So when you
Yeah.
walk into the hub, the main lobby of the hub, you're on camera as you walk in the door, so.
Yeah, so it'll expand on that and hopefully help with safety and security.
What is the percentage of revenue coming in from advertising, like on the bus and also, I noticed at the pub, you don't have any advertising there and stuff like that. What is the percentage of finance coming in through that? 1% or something like that?
Actually a little bit more. We're running right now around $1 million, just south of $1 million in ad revenue.
Okay. Is there any reason why you don't have advertising at the mall, at the club and everything?
Advertising where?
Advertising, like you usually had some poster where people posted at the hub and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's, so Lamar does all the sales, and it's really up to the vendor on where they want it, so if they
Okay.
selected, we want a bus wrapped. If they want it at the hub, we can do it at the hub, but the primary factor that they want is to have the buses
Okay.
wrapped and moving around the city so people see it.
Okay.
And the shelters?
The shelters too, there's quite a bit on the shelters. All right, thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Mike?
Good morning, everyone. Earlier this month, we
And actually,
started.
before Mike starts, I'd also like to point out that Mike met with me this week, and he will be retiring. So this is gonna be his final report. We'll recognize him at next month's meeting, but he's gonna let Bruce take that report. So this will be Mike's final report.
You and Joe go into business together? Or what?
I'm not sure, what do you think?
But we'll have an opportunity next month to recognize Mike and his many years of service to Centro.
Thank you. As I started out, we did a phishing test earlier this month. Phishing is a nefarious way of people getting into our system via email. The results weren't as good as I would have liked. They were about 18.5% clicks, which is a little bit high for us. So we're going to be doing some training on that. We did some initial training as well from KnowBe4. One of the things that's on that training was a security awareness proficiency assessment. What that does is it kind of assesses where everybody's at with what their knowledge is on cybersecurity and where they're at with that. Because of that, we're going to come up with some additional training programs for people, primarily in the area of some of the areas of concern that we'll have subject matters like password authentication, reporting of instances, and that kind of thing. Current projects, we're working on upgrading our PDS system still with the payroll system next gen. We're also working on some of our server upgrades. We've got some server operating systems which are a little bit older, so we're upgrading those and replacing some of them. And we're also supporting the GFI, the TSI that Jeff just talked about, as well as supporting the risk program for trapeze that Caitlin talked about earlier today. And then going forward, we got some proof of concept processes that we're working on with outside supervisors and the operations aspect, looking at putting out tablets out there to see how they can communicate with using trapeze and clever devices, but off-premise here. And we've got a couple of other different programs that we're looking at for the inside of Centro itself, for our internal stuff that we're looking at. It's kind of using AI to help us control what people are doing and not doing. Yeah, AI.
Do you get a lot of scammers still?
Yeah, I think the last time I looked at it, we're probably getting about almost 1,000 a day. They're not all getting through. They're not all getting through. Probably maybe a handful are getting through. But it seems like in particularly May, June, when the kids get out of college or something along that line, it increases exponentially.
That's their summer job.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Let's see what we can get into.
Is it to individuals or is it to a company that they're trying to?
It's really kind of interesting because some of the fishes that we've been getting have been almost like anonymous, going to different people, but the same kind of email. And someone from one company sends it to 3 or 4 different people, but it's the same request. But it isn't everybody. Not everybody's getting it. So it's kind of interesting.
Speaking of fishing, after retirement, are you planning on increasing your fishing?
Jeff and I were talking about that a little bit earlier. I'm more of a sailor than I am a fisherman, but so I'll be doing a lot more sailing. Thanks.
Can you swim?
Yeah, I love it.
Can you swim, John?
Can I swim?
Yeah. Okay, you guys are on the boat. I'm gonna be like Julius,
Any questions for Mike?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Steve Cagle is off today, so pinch hitting is gonna be Brandon Dice.
Thanks, Brian. And good morning, all.
I see you on the focus.
Thank you. So I'll start with my side, which is reports of special projects. Wanted to give you an update on where we are with the BRT process. We are in ongoing discussions with our stakeholders and continuing to work internally and with our planning consultant, Arcadis IBI. Our next steps are updating, which we are working on, updating the Smart One study, which was finished in 2018, and that will include an implementation plan, and that's expected the fall of this year, so more to come. Lastly, our on-demand system, wanted to give you an update on that. As Ryan mentioned in his report, we had a good conversation with the union, and we are continuing to work internally and again with our consultants, our planning consultants on that project. We expect to put out an RFP soon for the software for the system, and our anticipated timeline is meetings with stakeholders starting next month, additional meetings with stakeholders. We've been having some, but really pushing it this summer, and a full rollout in the first quarter of 2024. Again, that's Rome. The plan is to use the lessons learned that we had with the process of building it and have a much quicker process to roll out an on-demand system for our other properties. So, unless there are any questions on those two topics, I'm going to introduce our Service Development Data Analyst and Research Specialist. Paula has the longest title possibly at Centro. Paula Cutrone, and she's going to talk about our ridership numbers for us.
Thanks, Fran. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here today to talk about ridership. So, system-wide, our ridership we saw in April, we had increases in our city core services, including Syracuse at 21%, Auburn at 14%, Oswego at 11%, Fulton at 56%, Utica at 20%, and Rome at 26%. So we are continuing to move in the right direction, and I'm glad I could be here today to share this good news with you. As of today, all high school and college services are down for the summer break. This will affect our month-to-month ridership totals for the next few months. Our popular amphitheater shuttle service resumed on June 11th. Service operates from Warren Street across from the downtown transit hub to the front circle of the amphitheater for all shows. And just a reminder, we are continuing to operate our seasonal service to Lakeview Park and the main gate of the fairgrounds. The seasonal SY 682 has trips that leave the downtown transit hub between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. This concludes our ridership report, and I thank you for your time.
Do we know what's going on in Fulton?
She showed me up, right?
Yeah. What's going on in Fulton?
Fulton is
56%?
interesting. Well, it could be. There's different things that could be taken into that. If it could come down to operator input. So right now, our operators are responsible for entering the route number into the fare box. So say they were doing a route that went between two different routes and they just did not change the route number. That, of course, will be alleviated someday when we have a single point login.
Which they've actually got up and running to hopefully produce on this.
Yeah. Which is not something I was asked to speak about, but I'm very excited about it.
And our amphitheater shuttle one of the common counselors took that to concert the other night and sent me a text that very complimentary that the driver was very professional and it was a great service, on door to door, and they don't understand why more people don't use it. And, but it's a great service.
The more people know, how do you let people know about it?
Marketing pushes it out.
Marketing
They do.
pushes it out.
Social media,
Social media.
conferences, news coverage, yeah.
We just don't let you. You just can't tailgate at a bus. So.
You can't tailgate, and that's
so I
the
think it's
biggest
a
thing.
deterrent.
So the people that want to go up to the concert and take their vehicle and tailgate a little bit, you're never going to get them to
Right.
be a bus rider. But if you just want to go to the concert, door to door, you can't beat that service.
I mean, part of me would, like, I'm from a planning group where you drive, we'll take the bus.
Yes.
We get there, we go to your car and we tailgate. And,
That's exactly what I thought.
yeah, that's my
Yeah.
crew would do it that way.
Look
You're
at you
driving.
trying to outthink the system.
That's what I do.
Yeah. All right, any questions for Brian or Paula? Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Raman.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everyone. So last month I presented a couple of positions that we were searching for, and I'm happy to report we actually completed the hiring process for both of the senior supervisor positions. With these and other recent hires, we are now actually shifting the focus a little bit to process improvement and training of our supervisory staff. So over the next 3 to 5 months, we'll be performing a review of all operational processes, and included in that review is going to be an update to our SOPs, our standard operating procedures, and we're also working on a couple of other projects, mostly technology driven, also process improvement related. One example is the trapeze risk application that you heard a little bit about this morning. We have high hopes for that. We think it'll really help us. It'll be a big improvement. Give you an example of our accident reporting process and processing is currently very paper and labor intensive. We're hoping to be able to use tablets out in the field and not only make it more efficient, but also use the data that is uploaded and aggregated to improve trend analysis and address recurring common issues, potentially even create targeted training for incidents that are problems. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Any questions for Raman?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report and senior staff.
This morning, we had an Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Greg Evans from Bonadeo presented a detailed review of our financial statements. No material weaknesses or findings were noticed. At this time, I need a motion to bring to the full board to approve the draft of the financial statements and supplemental reports. Tina, Luella, all in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. This morning, the Audit and Finance Committee, Linda reviewed the summary financial information section of PAL 2800 annual report, and a motion was made to bring to the full board. I need a motion to approve the summary financial information section of PAL 2800 annual report. A motion, Luella, Neil, second. All in favor? Opposition? Motion passed. This morning at the Audit and Finance Committee meeting, Linda reviewed the guidelines regarding the disposition of property with no changes. A motion was made to bring to the full board. I need a motion to approve the guidelines regarding the disposition of property. Motion. Monty, second.
Neil.
Neil. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. This morning, the Audit and Finance Committee, Linda reviewed the investment report and guidelines with no changes recommended. A motion was made to bring to the full board. I need a motion to approve the annual PAL 2925 investment report and information guidelines. Motion, Julius, second. Monty, all in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. This morning, the Audit and Finance Committee, Caitlin reviewed the annual procurement report, and a motion was made to bring to the full board. I need a motion to approve the annual PAL 2879-2824E motion, procurement report, motion. Monty, second. Luella, all in favor? Opposition, motion passed. This morning at the Audit and Finance Committee, Caitlin reviewed the procurement manual with a few minor updates. A motion was made to bring to the full board. I need a motion to approve the Central New York Regional Transportation Authority procurement manual update. Motion. Julius. Second, Tina. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. Moving to the resolutions, this morning, the Audit and Finance Committee made the following resolutions were introduced and motions were made to bring to the full board. 3A, a motion to approve the 23-24 annual subsidy payments. I need a motion. Monty, second. Luella. 3B, a motion to approve. I'm sorry. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. 3B, I need a motion to approve the new bank account of J.P. Morgan Chase. Motion, Julius. Second, Neil. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. 3C, I need a motion to approve the Microsoft software licensing. Motion, Luella. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. I need a motion to approve the Traplin Z RISC software. Motion. Tina, second. Neil. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. 3E, I need a motion to approve the CNG engine number 2 overhaul. Julius, second. Luella, all in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. And finally, 3F, I need a motion to approve the sedan and lift equipment, vehicle services and suburban transportation. Luella and Monty, second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed. Also, at the Audit and Finance Committee, Susanna brought an information item regarding the internal controls report for March 31st, and no action was needed. The Personnel Committee met this morning in executive session to discuss a personnel matter. I need a motion to approve the 3-year contract with Deputy CEO Chris Tuff. Motion, Julius. Second, Luella. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Any old business?
There is no old business.
This is community.
Okay.
In the TNT meeting, the Southside TNT meeting, we met and we got a, you're gonna be seeing on a bulletin board. If you go to, what you call those things, when you paint it on the board?
Mural?
Your mirror, gonna be a mural. This mirror right here, I don't have a large picture of it, gonna be on one of the buildings on Solana Street. It's gonna be on a building right at about close to People's A.M.E. Zion Church over there. This is the mirror that was selected. If you go to the TNT Southside, you're gonna see this mirror right here. They selected this because it has, you see the figuration of the hand and everything, represented in different colors and stuff like that. So this mirror will be on the board. That was selected by the group.
I saw that each district was voting on different murals throughout the city.
Right, that's the one with
Yeah,
select.
they picked some great choices.
Yeah.
They really have.
They did. Those guys come great artists and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So they selected that one right there. The community liked that one though.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And there's no other new
future
business.
Do I need a motion to adjourn? I need a motion to adjourn. Monty, second. Luella, all in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.